Never know. These big readers, famous monsters and those.
Ah, yes.
And I was looking through, and I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that's true. I did a few of those. That's actually how I made a living when I was doing the cartoons. Dealing with Warren.
We're rolling.
I had no idea making a living. Certainly not the cartoons.
You said?
Yes.
How has the experience of making Conan affected you as a designer?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm more confident about my ability to design for film, but still, I've never had a sense of attaining a level or being this or being that, being a cartoonist or being a film designer or whatever. It's really a process to me. I'm very, very interested in just moving along. If anything, my orientation toward film is film itself. I'm just fascinated with the medium. And I like to communicate and to have effects on people and have access to audiences. So really, to me, it's learning film from top to bottom that I'm concerned with. As I happen to have a design role, but I suppose I'd be working toward exploring the possibility of writing for films and even possibly directing. I want to watch a lot more. I want probably want to design a lot more, but even my design inputs are all oriented toward, as I say, telling the screenplay, telling the story, and I'm concerned with the effectiveness of how they're shot and how they're integrated, how they're cut, and how they're directed, and I can't help but think of it as a whole. So really, any experience I have with film on any level changes me, hopefully. A little bit. I've learned a little more. I just like to continue that process.
Do you have an orientation towards our film heritage in terms of studying, say, William Cameron, Menzies, or some of the great classics?
Sometimes, but that isn't my habit. I generally I think that what I hold most of all in my mind when I'm working in film is the experience of sitting in an audience watching a picture. I'm really someone that comes out of the audience. I'm fascinated with how it all works there, and when I think of anything, it seems important that I not fixate too much like a cinema film school student. It seems important that I not be overly concerned with techniques and styles of other directors or other filmmakers, because I think there's too much of a tribute to this, a tribute to that. It's just a sort of endless recreating and restating of the works of other directors who never did that. They never were restating anyone else. They were not doing tributes. Hitchcock never did a tribute to someone else, except he obviously was inspired and learned from people, but you hopefully move on. It seems to me we all have an obligation to draw on the one thing that you and I have that no one else has, is that we occupy a peculiar corner of the universe and have had peculiar things happen to us that probably haven't happened to anyone else, and I must tap that. That's the only thing I can perhaps add to your life that might be interesting, and it's the only thing you can tell me that might be interesting. If we're both out copying someone else's life, I don't know that we're accomplishing anything or have a reason for being here. So if I'm doing anything, I try to go to more fundamental sources, experiences in my life, travels I've been on. If I'm designing, I try not to think of a specific picture or a specific director. It seems like it's an important exercise, even if I maybe before and after might think of these things. When I'm really trying to come up with an idea, I'm trying to avoid being influenced by anyone, even inspired, possibly.
What are the plans for the Conan sequels?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, all along, all through the making of the picture, there were no direct plans for a sequel, except that it was obvious that if the film went, there would be sequels. So I think it's all a wait-and-see attitude. I don't think there'll be any serious plans until we get an indication that Conan 1 does well. Then watch them scramble, There's endless talk, but I know nothing of the details. I know John from time to time says he wouldn't mind doing them the rest of his life, Conan sequels, but then other times he says, never again, I'll give it to someone else, But whether it's John or someone else, I'm sure it's beginning to look like the film's going to be successful enough to generate sequels.
Were you pleased with the final film of Alien that you were so intimately involved in?
Yes, I was eventually. Yes, I was certainly pleased with it. I think it's a common experience that when you go into a very, very highly produced picture like that and you work on it for years, that you become acutely aware of all the things you weren't able to do, and you're kind of living with that disappointment. And when the picture comes on, it's always a pale shadow of what you thought you were going to put on the screen. It takes a while to get over that. I know that all the people, when I did the little aliens in the cantina scene, you know, in post-production for Star Wars, walking into Industrial Light and Magic out in the valley in California, it was really funny. It was the first time I saw the kind of production values that were going into Star Wars. Yet everyone there were in this deep state of depression because they all thought it was going to lose a lot of money, and they were all aware of what they had failed in doing, and I think it's a common experience, and I had the same feeling at the beginning. I said, oh, if you could have seen what we had planned, you know, and Conan, Alien represented kind of a lot of retreating back to a kind of the reality of what we could put on the screen, but that eventually that fades, and you sort of get it, you begin to see it the way an audience sees it, and I see how it works, you know, and it's sort of a different movie than you expect. And Conan was a little bit that way too, although I'm pleased with the particular cut that's out now.
What were your contributions to Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh, very minor. Just that in the early days of Conan, when John was writing and revising his own scripts, and there were lots of delays, and I was just generating general artwork, there was a fair flexibility at the time, and he was sharing the same office building with Steven Spielberg. It was sort of across the hall, and I got to know Steven, and that's how I did the Close Encounters special edition interior, the mothership, and all his sort of on weekends I would do the work, and I was just enthusiastic about working with Steven as well. And when Raiders was being planned, there were lots of elements. He was always talking up the script, and there were storyboards being made, and he sort of was interested in my opinions, my reactions to it, and I became very excited about the element of the secret weapons. There was going to be a secret base, a kind of early Punimundi on this island, and there was going to be not only this the flying wing, but there were going to be experimental jets and strange long-range bombers. It was all supposed to be destroyed at the end. That eventually was cut out. But what it does remain is the flying wing, which you know, just taxis around when the picture blows up. And I was very keen to design all this stuff, and so I designed a 1930s jet and a long-range bomber and the wing, which I drew as a plan and everything. And Norman Reynolds built it in Tunisia. I never saw it, actually. I only saw it in the film. And I did a few early sketches on how that big boulder might work in the Peruvian temple. And lots of general talk about pacing and the chase scene and things, and little elements that didn't actually find their way into the picture. But it was very fascinating to watch Stephen work, and I love his enthusiasm. But that's about all, not much else. And I certainly had nothing to do with the production when it really got underway.
And on Dark Star, that was your first film credit?
Yes, actually, yes. Yes, it was.
What was it like working with John Carpenter on that?
Well, I hardly met him. I worked almost entirely with Dan O'Bannon, who I had met around the cartoons. He'd followed the cartoons in the 60s, and we discovered through conversation that we were both interested in sort of imaginative filmmaking. And later, when he started his project at USC, he called me in and asked if I might donate a design. I was amazed when I saw the initial footage, you know, incredible how ambitious that was. If that's a student film, I couldn't believe it. And I met John Carpenter, but basically I just did a little exterior design, drew up plans for it, and Greg Jean built the model, and later it got theatrical release, and it has this cult following now, which was very, very nice. And my relationship with Dan O'Bannon, of course, led to Alien and my job on Star Wars as well.
Ron, thanks a lot for being with us, and good luck with the film.
Anytime.
Okay.
I want to know what kind of fantasies you have at home when you're sleeping.
I don't know. I draw them before I have a chance to experience them.
Would it be possible for us to tape some production sketches that we could enter?
Well, yeah, they're all here.
Would that be all right?
Do you have an easel or something?
Are they hardboard or are they?
Some are and some are not, but most of them are actually on hardboard.
Okay, if you
Are
could.
you still rolling?
Tim, back the table up.
Why don't you,
We did your intro before you came.
why don't you say the tape?
To put them where?
Visual history.
Put them
Ah,
there. How about this?
Tim, why don't you shut it down?
Tried
Say
to
the
get
tape.
it right.
well,
to.
I don't know.
All you have to
Stop
do
it.
is
Of everything here.
Just
put
hit
it on pause.
What the hell's pause?
It'll
pause.
be red.
Oh, it's not blinking.
Pause.
Yeah.
Ira? Ask Ira.
No, I don't. I know very few people.
Deck back, Stuart, I'm grabbing the deck.
Yeah, but I want to shut it down first.
They shut it down. I don't. I know.
That's right, we're gonna
I have very few contacts in
Wanna do
America.
it?
We're,
Just let us see what
amongst
happens.
those people.
let's just very simply put it.
Ira.
Oh, it was fun. It was sort of painless because it was.
I wanna do another thing.
John, that light is right. You're going to do it. You know, this is it. Here's your line. And I was so busy that I was building. You know, we were preparing that set continually all around me, and so I was totally distracted. So I never had a chance to get nervous or anything. I just sat down, did it, and had to go on. You know. Actually, it was much longer than that. It's been cut, and it was much longer. I sort of told the history of the comic. John also did a sequence, but that's gone.
Okay, do you,
He sold
Let's just do
them.
one more balance, just in case.
Stuff they're reading, yeah, they're good on it.
That's great. We would intercut it with, you know, with your comments.
okay.
Uh-huh.
30-second spots.
I think I better take this one home with me just in case.
Just what we're usually.
Ready for the next one?
Take your shadow away for just a second, I'll lock it down for.
Yeah, I see it, I see. All right, that's
We show,
just
Okay, good, get rid of
Oh,
it.
yeah, oh, yeah.
All right,
wonderful.
next.
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 Been on the air now for about a year.
I see, yes. Can I buy a bacon?
Okay, can I have some more light?
This?
Sure can, I'll get you one.
I would really, yeah,
Good,
my
good.
resident, I would really like to see.
Oh,
They put it
our
together.
pleasure.
It's actually, this is the longest tape I've given.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been only very, they've been very short. All of them. Never been done.
Where would we say?
Well, gee, if you can, 502 10th Street.
Are you a New Yorker?
No? Santa Monica. Yes, 90402. That'd be great if you can. So if you have
We should do this first half on Conan, the second half, Kristen has a film called Man's Genesis that I have at home.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's cave.
Cave.
Okay.
Oh, yes, really? Oh, really?
We're talking to Sandal Burger.
Oh, yeah, so she's great, and she's the personality to emerge from the picture, I think.
What type of warrior is
Well, that was one of the Neanderthals. There was another element that was cut out that was supposed to be in the cave. It was supposed to be full-blooded Neanderthals living in there. That was one of the, well, they were going to be that was going to be one of the secrets of the picture. They see them being fed. We built a big pit for them and had them all. It's all cut out.
Testing.
They were being bred with humans to make the guards. So the guards were half Neanderthal, half human. That was John's idea. And so that's what that's supposed to be, half human, half Neanderthal. And some of them were pure Neanderthal. Silly idea. It's sort of, I mean, you know, John always wanted to get sort of genetics in it because being a kind of fantasy fascist, you know, he thinks that's really important.
You guys always had a basis in history, though, which kind of made it.
Well, yeah. Well, for John, you know, the whole thing was a gigantic push put down of the '60s, you know, and flower power and counterculture. I knew he was doing that, you know, and that's okay. It's his, you know, that's the force of his argument, and you accept it or reject it. But of course, there was certain elements of Jim Jones, and liberals can say Hitler, you know, and but actually John was really thinking that Conan represented Hitler. That was John's secret wish, you see.
I'm going to put these right by you, John.
Because Arnold was Aryan and had an Austrian accent and silly stuff.
Is this, you also told a great deal about how he patterned a lot of the cults on Manson and then the Rosh Hashanah.
Yes, yes. Yes, that's certainly true.
If your hand wasn't holding it like that.
Mm.
Okay. What picture is this? This picture?
Well, that was just an early version of James Earl Jones' costume. Before it was James Earl Jones, we didn't know who the actor would be, and in fact that was for the Ed Pressman, the Oliver Stone script, and it became this costume, which is pretty much what we built in the picture.
Has the director ever sent you out with second unit photography?
Yes, he did, actually. It was really interesting. I did a fair amount of it. The whole opening sequence, John had me shoot that, the making of the sword, you know, and the pouring of the blade, and the people looking through the flames, and the bellows, you know, going up and down. And I found out, of course, while I was doing it, why he had me do it, because we were in the middle of the night on the top of a mountain in a blizzard. Okay. And thinking that damn well, you know, damn good well John wasn't going to be up there shooting that.
You also shot
You can put that one down. We have that one.
Oh, okay. The snake transformation.
Yes, I did. What there is of it, because John didn't want to do it in lapse photography or in any kind of a full transition. He wanted to do it in just jumps like that. So.
Not 1:33 ratio. I'd rather have a white background than lose the whole.
Well, maybe just to get a few pieces, because Susan was making some faces.
So,
tell me you're right, we'll lose it.
They're watching.
Can I just get you to describe this scene?
Oh, you're recording all this. Well, you should have.
I'm getting the picture. I'm also getting his description.
Well, all that stuff about John. Please, let's not.
No. I promise you.
Well, that was the near final design for Osric's Great Hall, King Osric, the character played by Max von Sydow. It turned out that we made some changes in the actual structure of the building, and when John actually shot it, he also lit it in white light, which I didn't expect, and kind of gave it a strange effect. But I always saw it as a really somber, dark set in sort of amber torchlight. That's sort of the way I originally envisioned it. A Viking meeting hall, sort of. Giant logs, all in wood, little stone.
Okay. Just get this one.
See, what you can do is put that on the back of this or something.
Oh, yeah.
That. Let's see. If you hold it like this, so it is tilted, but just hold it down here.
Okay, last one.
Did you intern with any art directors on films before you got started?
Well, Michael Seymour on Alien, but that was about all I ever had a chance to do. Everything else, it was just the design inputs, very fleetingly. But the year I was on Alien, the half year I was in England, Michael Seymour was the production designer, and of course Ridley Scott was also very experienced on the design end. But for the most part, Giger and I were left pretty much on our own, though. It was because there was a lot of uncertainty as to how the interior of a spaceship should look, and Michael Seymour was not terribly experienced in that. He was ordering things from NASA to try to get ideas from Space Lab and stuff, and I was saying, look, just let us do, let me try. So I started doing a lot of the interiors, sort of the obscure rooms first, and then eventually I did the medical lab. That's almost entirely mine, and the eating room where the chest burster occurs, most of the bridge, and all the halls and the computer room and all that stuff, basic shapes and sizes of it. And that was really exciting. I enjoyed that. Enjoyed applying that, because it was something I was confident I would have ideas on.
I have an Invader. I've watched it 800 times.
Oh, good Lord.
And I got the Alien at home.
Oh, do you? Yes,
The
yes, a
toy?
peculiar toy. Grotesque.
Could you try and tighten this up, Ira? Is there some trick to that? Just that's that one. Okay.
Is that all of them?
That is it.
Okay.
That's a wrap.
Okay.